I want to talk about potential problems within the Zeitgeist movement, but the first thing I want to say is I'm not out to attack the Zeitgeist movement as I support the basic train of thought. Also, if people want a dialogue with this, if anyone wants to maybe set up like a Google Voice chat with several people and post a video online to get some differing opinions about the direction the Zeitgeist movement is going in, send me an email. I am completely open to that. Certain problems within the Zeitgeist movement. First of all, everything cannot be solved scientifically. Um, Unfortunately, there's no such thing as an objective person. Now, in philosophy, it would be understood that we all interpret the world through our subjective experience. We all have our limited perspective. We all have our paradigms. Everything is being observed and interpreted through the filter of the individual. The idea that this individual can leave themselves and enter the realm of objective reality to know the objective scientific proof is a delusion. Well understood within philosophy, well understood within realms like integral philosophy. Ken Wilber has written about this. However, when you enter the world of the skeptic movement and the radical materialistic atheists, they believe that they have somehow exited the world of ideology and are now living within the realm of objectivity. They believe that they are objective. In other words, they have basically deluded themselves into that. And when you believe that you have the objective authority, all of a sudden there's no real difference between you and the blue meme religious fundamentalist who believes that their narrow understanding of the universe is the word of God. Basically, within spiral dynamics, we understand that value systems evolve according to a set hierarchy, and then we have this blue meme hierarchy where people believe that that's it. They have discovered the one true way, and now they can go and force that onto everyone. Now, we see this in religion, and you can see this in other ideologies. This happened to socialism. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And this can happen to things such as a resource-based economy and the idea of the scientific method for social concern. But this problem is not inherent within RBEs or socialist theory or religion. This is an inherent problem with any type of ideology that wants to really solve humanity's problems. You're only going to get so far with that ideology as the level of consciousness of the people following it. So it doesn't matter how advanced your understanding, for example, of Jesus is and in Christianity, and you could have this integral level thinking Christian, who can point to all these insights. It really doesn't matter if you have that, if next thing you know you have some blue meme Christian who wants to force everyone to follow their narrow rules in a position of power. You're going to get a disaster. Likewise, with socialism, we can see going from the utopian socialists through Marx, we had green meme thinkers, maybe even like integral level thinkers, developing socialist theory. But Lenin was not at the green meme. He wasn't concerned about all of humanity. He wasn't about honoring the validity of various perspectives. He was about enforcing this rigid ideology of the dictatorship of the workers. However, he reinterpreted that from Marx, and so forth. Or at least when he was in power, you showed what he really cared about. And you can see this throughout socialist history, people turning this into the working class religion as opposed to all the people of the planet using the new technology for the betterment of everyone. So we have the de-evolution of socialist theory from the green meme, let's use this technology for the betterment of everyone, to this dictatorship where someone's going to say how it's going to happen and you have to conform or you're going to be punished and we are going to force you into the system. This wasn't a problem with socialism per se, it's a problem with humanity, where if you have people at that blue meme level, they're going to interpret any ideology at that level. So the only way that the that a socialist or a communist revolution could have possibly hoped to work is if you had a critical mass of people basically at the green mean. And I'm using all these terms, I'm using spiral dynamics terms. Sorry, if you're not familiar with spiral dynamics, this might not make a lot of sense. But that should be clear that if you don't have people at a high enough level of consciousness, you're not going to implement any of these egalitarian systems that unite a large group of people. The only system you can unite would be like a local tribe. You can do that, but it's not going to work when you talk about a massive nation state or the world. You're going to get into dictatorship. So where do we see this type of blue orange meme person coming into the zeitgeist movement? Because to be honest, I have not met anyone personally involved in the zeitgeist movement who was putting forth this type of blue orange meme dogma. But then comes, Matt Berkowitz, and he is clearly heavily influenced by the skeptic movement. And he wrote to me, and he said, in effect, that the zeitgeist movement shouldn't have people like me in it. Because in effect, because I'm a naturopathic doctor, and he told me that I'm dangerous. This is on YouTube. Anyone could just look it up. Berkowitz writing as TZM, Vancouver, by the way. My interpretation of this is someone who says this is the scientific way of doing things. You have to conform or get out. What happens when this person is in a position of power? Are they going to force someone to say, hey, what if they say, hey, it's not scientifically valid to use herbal medicine, so we'll plug it into the computer to not allocate resources to that? Now, or what if they say it's not scientifically valid to use homeopathy, so we won't allow resource allocation for anyone to do that? Now, I'm not saying this is part of the zeitgeist movement. It's not. This way of thinking is not what the zeitgeist movement is about. However, if you get these deluded skeptic types in, that's what they're going to devolve it to. Because isn't the zeitgeist movement supposed to be for everyone on the entire planet? Since when is it just for a few people who feel that they personally know what is scientifically possible? Get into another problem with this thing that everything can't be solved through science, because again, we are subjective, but there is so much knowledge accumulated, and yet at this point that no one can personally know for themselves that all of this is true. So we're put in the precarious situation of needing to trust the opinions of others to tell us what is scientifically valid or not. And regardless of if you want to hear this or not, if you're watching this, you probably, for example, don't know for a fact that the HIV virus is real. What I mean is, you personally have not done the research. You personally have not seen that validated. It's just that you've been told that's true. You personally do not know that carbon emissions are causing global warming unless you did that research and you verified it personally. And getting some news report from the Young Turks or something that here's some computer generated model, that is trusting the opinion of someone else. And I'm not even making a comment on these issues. I'm commenting that that it's not possible for someone to know all these things for sure. You do not know personally how valid all of these vaccinations are. Did you go through every little bit of research besides just going through all the research? Have you been in the real world and see the anecdotal effects of this to compare it to the research? Are you privy to all the behind the scenes information of what valid research is coming out, what isn't? No, you're not. And we can make those arguments for anything. So the notion that one could just enter the world of being part of objective reality and just enter the world of knowing what is scientifically true and wanting to force that on others, that's very, very dangerous. Now, we can go to simple things that can be proven through reductionistic models, and we're not going to run into the same problems. well, we can still say you don't know for sure, but it's not going to be such a big a problem. Such as if someone has data on how to do vertical farming or how to make extremely fast trains using magnetic rails and putting them in tunnels so there's no wind resistance. As technologically complicated as these things are, they're basically reductionistic models that are very simple compared to something like the complexity of the human body, which is vastly complex. So when you get into systems, complex systems, and understanding that, you throw on all of this additional complexity that makes it very hard to know what for sure is real and what isn't. That's why you know for sure your cell phone works. This is scientifically proven, but you don't know for sure if dark matter is out there. Exactly. That's an example I commonly use where people are just told to trust the scientific authority. So the danger of wanting to force people along to what you say is the scientific method. That's a problem. Uh, Infinite trust in the scientific method, that can be a problem. Science within the realm of things like the zeitgeist movement, or especially the skeptic movement, which takes things on to a whole nother level, is becoming a meaningless word. Just like democracy or terrorism is meaningless. At this point, when someone flings the word science at me, that they're scientific, that I'm not scientific, or that's garbage. It doesn't mean anything. You're just using this as an attack word with no concrete definition at all. Or you just don't know what you're talking about. Berkowitz put up this video, and I read the transcript about how do you know what's true in terms of medicine. And, I started writing a rebuttal. I'm at 8 pages. I could write 30 pages. I could write 40 pages, basically slashing him apart. Why? Because I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I'm very familiar with the subject. But, I feel bad for someone who's not familiar with health, who has not studied the complexity, has not studied these issues from multiple perspectives. And I can see them kind of going along, with the ride on that. But I've been really distressed by what Berkowitz has been doing with the zeitgeist movement, where he has essentially put himself into a position where where he wants to spit out skeptic movement propaganda, speaking using the voice of the zeitgeist movement, and getting the zeitgeist movement involved in things that's irrelevant to it. Getting into if it's okay to use homeopathy is just not something that, again, the zeitgeist movement should really be about. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind having a discussion with people who are more open-minded just about what is the zeitgeist movement about, and what happens when you see people coming in from different directions who want to say, oh, the zeitgeist movement is this, the zeitgeist movement is that. Like, how does one advocate for the scientific method for social concern when you have so many people of varying opinions? And the goal cannot possibly be to get everyone to go along and be on the same side. The goal cannot possibly be to make sure everyone is scientific. That's an absurdity that could only come out of the realm of the skeptic movement and their delusion. The notion that someone shouldn't be in the zeitgeist movement because they might be unscientific in some of their beliefs, that's basically what Berkowitz is putting out. I mean, isn't the zeitgeist movement supposed to be for everyone, such as the research-based economy is supposed to be for everyone on the planet? So shouldn't it be important to have a message that everyone can see the benefit from, or to at least have a core train of thought? And you might present the train of thought in different ways to different people, but the train of thought should not be, hey, if you don't get along with this program, you're out. In terms of you have to believe in this type of healthcare, or you have to believe in this type of physics. I mean, how far is it going to go? And this notion that Berkowitz is now going to dictate what is true in medicine. I don't want to spit out credentialism, but he has no idea what he's talking about. And if there's if there's a goal, if someone wants to dialogue, that's fine. But I'm not a fan of someone's just go flinging through the internet looking for random negative articles on something to debunk something. That's like James Randi, Richard Dawkins, skeptic games. And those people have been attacked, and valid and for good reason. Um, and just the whole notion, especially when it comes to complex systems, because if people want, I can get into great details on healthcare and why you can't use simple reductionistic models to really decipher it, no matter what Berkowitz will say. But I wouldn't mind having people who agree with the basic train of thought of the Zeitgeist movement, but have taken issue with certain things TZM does, nonetheless, and maybe having a dialogue about it. Because right now I feel conflicted over what am I supposed to do. Because I fully agree with the idea of a resource-based economy, but I'm not going to advocate for a group that openly calls myself and my profession a fraud. I'm not going to call for a group that has people in it that want to lead down the slippery slope of saying forcing vaccinations on people or not allowing them basic health freedom to choose how to treat themselves. Now, that's not what the Zeitgeist movement is about. But if you were to implement a resource-based economy with people like this Berkowitz in charge, you can very quickly go down that slippery slope. And that is a real danger. I mean, again, the basic problem again is not with the train of thought, it's with the level of consciousness of the people involved. And you can have a very intelligent, charismatic, well-spoken person who really isn't appealing to a very high level of consciousness, bringing people down to a place that they shouldn't. Like, to me, the most important thing in being part of the Zeitgeist movement is not how scientific you are, but how humanistic you are. How much do you want to see the technology we have being put for the betterment of every person on the planet? And if you don't have that human element, you're going to have a disaster. Without that human perspective that this is to serve everyone, you're going to go down the path of forcing people to do things they don't want to do. And it doesn't matter how many times people in the Zeitgeist movement repeat this. It doesn't matter how many times Peter Joseph repeats, we're not trying to force anyone to do anything. It doesn't matter how true it is every time that they say that. If you get a bunch of blue meme dogmatic people into anything, they will want to force everyone to conform. So that's it. Bye.